Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mayleaf. In this video, how to brew with a Gaiwan. In this video, I'm going to be giving you a step-by-step on how to brew with this incredibly simple but functional bit of teaware. This video is going to go under the teawares playlist. If at any point in time you enjoy this video, then please give the video the thumbs up. The more thumbs in the air, the more tea videos are going to come your way. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, then go click that button. We've just filmed a video on the reasons why I love Gaiwans, and a link will appear up here somewhere and in the comments in the description below, so check that out. But now we are going to be brewing, and I'm going to be just showing you the very simple method of how you brew with this piece of kit. So let's begin. I have in here some Gong Fu 2016. This is our new raw pure, fresh picked 2016 harvest from Shigui in Yunnan province. We'll do another tasting session with this tea, I'm sure. But today it's just about teaching you how to brew with a Gaiwan. Okay, so let's begin with the tea rinse. So we're just going to pour water over these leaves, and you'll notice for some teas that there's quite a lot of bubbles that form. And so you can just now use the Gaiwan lid. This is one of the great things about Gaiwan lids, is you can use them to move the bubbles off. You can tip away a lot of those bubbles. And then if I take my Gong Bay, and I'm just gonna have a very large opening here, and I'll show you how you control the opening in a little bit. A very large opening, and pour away the tea rinse or tea wash. The reason why we do a large opening is because any broken leaves that are in this tea will be ejected, and we'll have really nice full leaves for our proper brews. So let me pour that away. So again, you can see how much control you have with this lid to move away any froth, any bubbles, and control the gap that you have. So before we go any further, the next thing I need to do is show you how to hold a Gaiwan. Right, I have another camera here, so we're going to be having a close-up of this. So the way that you hold a Gaiwan, and the reason why I'm paying particular attention to this is because most people who first start brewing with Gaiwans find that either the Gaiwan is quite awkward to hold or gets too hot on their fingers. So let me show you how best to hold the Gaiwan. You want to make sure that you are holding the Gaiwan with your thumb, your second finger, and your index finger. The index finger goes on top. The index finger goes onto the lid, on the knob at the top. And there are two ways that you can do this. You can either put your finger directly into the little alcove here of the knob of the lid, or you can, which is what I do, put your finger across. Now, I like to put my finger across. I find that this affords me more control. Now, the control that I'm talking about here is how much control you have over the angle of the lid. So if you have a very flat angle like this, then you're going to be having a very small gap for pouring. If you have a very large angle like this, then the gap here, the gap inside here is a lot larger, and so you're having a quicker pour, and you're pouring away more of those broken leaves. So let me put it back down. Hopefully you're going to get a nice close-up here. So the index finger either goes in or goes onto the top of the lid. And then it's very simply about holding very lightly with the thumb and your second finger just the edge of the Gaiwan. If you hold too far down the Gaiwan, too far down, you'll start to get a lot more of the heat of the hot water, and that might potentially become very uncomfortable for you. So just holding lightly the edge, and don't forget that the Gaiwan shape of the Gaiwan is splayed out, so that it's splayed out intentionally to help with pouring, but also it means that there's less heat around the edge of the rim of the Gaiwan. So just lightly holding with the thumb and the second finger, and then the index finger on top, and this is how you hold a Gaiwan. A lot of people, when they first start brewing with Gaiwans, they feel it's a little bit awkward and they tend to squeeze too tight because they're scared of dropping the Gaiwan. You will not drop the Gaiwan as long as you anchor your second finger, thumb, and index finger. As long as it's anchored in 3 places, you can hold very lightly and you can easily pour without being worried about dropping the Gaiwan. So please don't hold too tight, otherwise you might find that it gets too hot. Some people hold like this with their thumb in the Gaiwan and they pour this way. I don't like this way of pouring. I find that I don't have as much control, and also the steam tends to come out of this little gap here and hit the palm of your hand, and that can get quite hot. So I don't really like that. I much prefer, and most people in China will brew this way. You pour this way, the steam tends to rise out from the side of your hand, and it's a lot better way of brewing. So let's do it one time with actual water so you can see, and I'm going to intentionally bring the water right to the top so you can see how I handle that. So pouring in, bring it right to the top if you want. It's kind of a very dramatic way of doing it. And then put the lid on. Now that's way too overfilled, okay? So you can use it to scrape the bubbles off, but you wouldn't want to pour like this. Just hold the lid and the base and just tip. Just tip away any excess, right? That's the easy way of doing it. And now I'm going to be putting my index finger in, setting the angle that I want, so setting the gap that I would like. And now I can tilt the lid. I hold with the thumb and the second finger, and I simply, with one easy movement with the wrist, pour. And you can see how quick the pour is, which is one of the great things about brewing with a Gaiwan. Be careful not to twist. If you twist, let me see if I can show you. I'll probably make a mess, but that's okay. If you twist your hand in any way, then there's a risk that the water will start to leak down and touch your skin, touch your finger or your thumb. So be conscious of making sure that you're always pouring from the section in between your thumb and your second finger. If you do find that it gets too hot, and a lot of people when they first start brewing with Gaiwans, they find that it gets a bit too hot, usually because they're squeezing it, then put the Gaiwan down. There's no prizes for burning yourself. And the best tip that I can give you is for you to hold your earlobe. So if your fingers are too hot, hold your earlobe. It's one of the tricks that I picked up in China. Sometimes you see farmers that they're really exuberant and they're pouring water in, and it gets a bit too hot for them, or they've overfilled it. So hold your earlobe. It tends to take the heat away from your fingers really quickly. I don't know who figures these things out, but it definitely works. The other thing to watch out for is make sure that you have dry fingers. Sometimes you're pouring water and it's getting a little bit messy and your fingers might get wet. When your fingers are wet, then you will have more chance that your grip will be slippery, which means that you'll squeeze the Gaiwan tighter, and also wet fingers just tend to make the Gaiwan feel even hotter. So have a tea towel like this next to you and just dry your fingers before you pick up and pour the Gaiwan. Let me do it one more time for you so that you can see it. The height at which you pour is up to you if you'd like to do the long pour in order to cool down the water. So lid off, pour the water. If it's too filled, then just lid and hold the lid and the base and just tip it out. When you're ready, when you feel that the infusion is ready, you set your lid into the Gaiwan, put your index finger on, hold it very lightly with your thumb and your second finger, and then just pour in very straight motion without twisting the bowl. After you've finished and you're ready to drink, we always advise taking the lid and putting it onto the side like this. So you can see, just putting it onto the side like this. This means that the leaves will start to dry and won't steam and stew in the humidity. So So that's a really, really great thing. And again, look how beautiful that is. That's a really, really something that I love about the Gaiwan, the way that it so nicely holds together like that. Make sure that you pick Gaiwans that allow you to do this. So we've got, this is the Mayleaf Blue Gaiwan, and we've got a Mayleaf glass Gaiwan, which is suitable for green teas. And again, just putting the lid inside on the side like this is very easy and a really nice way of keeping the lid neatly. This Gaiwan here we purchased in China. It's a beautiful Gaiwan, lovely design on it. I really, really like this Gaiwan, but something that really annoys me is this. Look how it lifts up the bowl, which is kind of annoying. So it's always nice if you get a chance to just play with your teaware before you buy it, because that's kind of an annoying thing. Whereas this is so much nicer. You just slot it in and it stays in there. So I'm gonna now enjoy my tea. Gong Fu 2016. I brewed them quite strong because I was talking a lot, but it's still incredibly smooth. Wow, lovely minty sweetness to it. Gorgeous tea. We'll do a video on that in the future. But I hope that this has given you a very basic understanding of how to brew with a Gaiwan and taken away all those fears that some people have about Gaiwan brewing. I encourage everybody out there to try Gaiwan brewing. It's a great way to have a really direct and authentic brewing experience. That's it, tea heads. If you made it to the end of this video, then please give the video the thumbs up. Check out our YouTube playlist and let us know if there are any videos that you would like us to make. If you're ever in London, then come visit us in Camden to say hi and taste our wares. If you have any questions or comments, then please fire them over. Other than that, I'm Don May from Mayleaf. Thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from the tea bags, keep drinking the good stuff, and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye.